Hello and welcome to Under the Umbrella. I'm WDTN Plus meteorologist Melissa Barrington. And the purpose of this show is to highlight various aspects of weather and how they impact our community. Our choices of topic will be far-ranging and with a new topic each week. Now, with the Dayton Air Show coming up, we today are going to be discussing how weather affects flying the Wright B Flyer, which many of you may have actually seen over the years at various festivals or maybe even at an air show. Now, the Wright B is a working replica of the first airplane made and flown by the Wright B Flyers, who were from Dayton, Ohio. And today we are joined by Chief Pilot of the Wright B Flyer, Rich Stepler. Hello, Rich.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Under the Umbrella. First question for you. First of all, how long have you been a pilot and what types of airplanes have you flown? I'm sure there's lots.
I started flying about the middle of last century.
Oh, no.
I earned my private pilot's ticket in 1967, flying a Piper Colt, which is a single-engine general aviation airplane.
Okay, and what other types of planes have you
flown? Oh, I see. Since then, I have essentially flown all the general aviation airplanes. The manufacturers are Piper, Cessna, Mooney, Beechcraft, and there are quite a few of the twins associated with that. I not only have flown them, but I teach in them as well.
Okay, so do you do this for a job?
I failed at retirement. After my engineering job with the Air Force, I started teaching, and that is my third job.
Okay. So how did you hear about the Wright B Flyer, and how did you learn to fly it?
Okay. Bill Sloan was one of the original pilots of the look-alike Wright B. It is not a replica because that would suggest that it's the same materials built the same way. Our airplane is modern materials, steel and aluminum as opposed to ash and spruce. But at 100 yards, you couldn't pick them apart from an original Wright B. Mm-hmm. So that was the goal, to maintain design integrity, but to have a safe flying airplane. When I first heard about it, I was at the Wright Pat Aero Club as a member pilot and an instructor. And our chief pilot at the time was a guy named Bill Sloan, who flew the original Wright B replica. I'll use that word. Mm-hmm. And when he got ready to retire, he asked me if I was interested in replacing him on the staff. And I thought about that for about half a second and said, you bet. And I've been flying it ever since.
And are you the only pilot that flies it, or are there others?
No. There are a total of, 5 right now that are qualified to fly the Wright B. Are you interested in names?
You can tell us some names if you'd like to, if they'd like to be heard.
Sure. Well, Jay Jabor is one of our pilots, but he is not really active with us right now. He moved to Florida, but we have some others, and I have. Let's see.
Well, you said there's 5 of them, correct? So
I did, and three of the 5 are retired Air Force trained test pilots. Mm-hmm. I mentioned Jay Jabor, Hank Griffiths, Tom Walters, and 2 of us, Jeff Stans and myself, are. Jeff Stans was a CO of the F-15 squadron. All of them have retired and are available to us full time. And the picture that you're seeing, I think, is of Tom flying the current Whitebird, the Wright B, at Wright Brothers Airport.
So looking at this video of them flying, There's no cockpit, is there?
None. You sit on the pilot's platform. The actual Wright B, the pilot sat on the leading edge of the wing in seats that were secured, but originally there was no seat belts.
Oh,
That's why that bar up front is there, so you could put your feet against it and push back into the seat.
there was no bar there for your feet to go up?
No, there is a bar.
Oh, there is a
that's
bar.
where you put your feet and you
Right.
push yourself back into the seat. There were no seat belts at that time.
Oh, wow. So, like, what's it like to feel like this wind that is blowing on this pilot here and just like looking down at the ground? What is that like?
It's an amazing feeling. I could best give you an example. If you ride a motorcycle as opposed to riding in a car, that's kind of what it's like. You're out in the breeze, which is very good visibility. It's a very interesting perspective on flying, and it's also very tiring because the wind is pressing against you at a certain airspeed. If you turn your head, you have to sort of help your face to get back forward because the wind is pressing against you. It makes it a little more difficult to breathe because the wind is pressing on your chest. It's a fatiguing airplane to fly, and in some events, the birds and the bugs are out there. Now, the birds are smart. They see us, they can get out of the way. On the other hand, bugs are dumb.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, like birds and bugs and everything else that's flying in the air. Oh my gosh.
If you hit one of those, you know it. You get a bruise.
Ooh. Oh, so you have other things besides the weather to worry about when you're flying up there.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you said birds are a bigger challenge,
Well,
or
no,
the bugs?
birds are smart enough to try to get out of the way.
Okay.
Their technique typically is to fold their wings in and dive, so you don't want to fly under them. You want to fly by them or over them.
Have you ever hit a bird, or has one ever hit you?
Yes, not me, but it hit the airplane and it did damage. It was not a big bird, but when you're doing 55 miles an hour, it damages the airplane.
Okay, so when you're up there in the Wright B, what type of flying instruments, weather instruments, do you have on that plane versus like a different type of airplane? Is there any differences?
Okay. Actually, with some of the modern avionics that are available to us, we have the entire panel that's in a regular light airplane. And it's on what is known as a dynon. It's an electronic glass display. It has all of the same instruments, and it has a multifunction too. It has the engine instruments and all the other things that you need to fly. That's the box that you see below the bigger box of the two that you see on the screen right now.
Okay.
And by the way, that's me flying.
Oh, great.
And that's the first up and away flight. Previously, we have been just doing runway hops with the experimental airplane, a new experimental airplane. But this was the first up and away. And as you can see, I'm very well dressed because it's a chilly day. I had planned to do several flights, several laps, but I just got too cold. And so I brought it down after one lap.
So the temperature is going to vary with height.
Well, it does. And in fact, it goes down 3 degrees for every 1,000 feet roughly. But in this case, the issue was wind chill.
Obviously, so the gloves are on here.
Oh, yeah,
Case.
absolutely. And I have a snowsuit on and a jacket on over that. And it's still it's still very cold.
Is it uncomfortable to be wearing all of these clothes and then you're in this open air cockpit with wind blowing at you and you're trying to fly this plane? How uncomfortable is that, if it is at all?
Actually, you get used to all of that.
Okay.
Flying the airplane is for a pilot is most exciting. It's responsive, but it does have some peculiarities. When you're flying that airplane, you need to understand that it has a personality. Well, let me correct that. It has an attitude. So if you're not prepared for what's happening, and a lot of that is weather dependent.
Okay.
For example, if there's a wind of any sort, we have a very light wing loading. Our weight divided by the wing area is very small. And so therefore it's very reactive to a gust. And so you have to be prepared for that.
Okay. So like you want like a low wind day, I assume, then when you fly this.
Absolutely. In fact, our wind conditions in which we allow ourselves to fly are much more restrictive than those that you would find in a typical general aviation airplane. We are susceptible to a crosswind. So on takeoff, we limit ourselves to 10 knots of crosswind. A typical light airplane would be maybe 17 or 18 knots. We limit ourselves to a headwind with gust of 20 or 25 knots, and that's because if the gust drops off, you can stop flying very quickly. We have a very narrow envelope in which we fly, somewhere between 50 and 55, and that's it. Wow. So if you had 5 or 8 knots of wind and all of a sudden it just stopped blowing, you're not flying anymore.
Okay. Well, we are going to take a short break and we're going to talk more about this. When we come back, we are going to talk about how weather impacts more, how the weather really impacts the Wright B Flyer, even some more with Rich Stepler, and what some additional challenges are of flying a historic open air plane. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Under the Umbrella. Today we are joined by Rich Stepler, who is the chief pilot of the Wright B Flyer down at the Wright Brothers Museum down in the Springboro area. And today we are talking about particularly how the wind affects this particular aircraft. And you were saying it's extremely challenging, weren't you, Rich?
Yes. We're not as robust as a general aviation aircraft. We fly at between 50 and 55. The airplane carries about an hour and a half's worth of fuel. We only permit ourselves to fly 1 hour so that we'll have a reserve. And if you're doing 50 miles an hour and you have a 40-knot wind on the nose, you're only doing 10 miles an hour on the ground.
So you're not moving very fast at all.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, an interesting story, we've overflew the Wright-Patterson marathon.
Yes.
And we returned to base after we made a couple of laps over. We had an unforecast wind of about 50 knots, and we were only doing 5 miles an hour. Now, the guy that was sitting next to me was a fighter pilot who was part of the F-22 development program and has flown many airplanes supersonic. But it was a new low for him. 5 miles an hour across the ground.
That was very slow, wasn't it? He was crawling.
It was.
Oh, wow. So the wind obviously is definitely an issue. Now you get those frequent wind gusts potentially. What does that do to the plane while you're in it? And do you have to have 2 pilots fly it, or can you just have one?
Okay. The wind question first.
Okay.
Obviously, for takeoff and in flight, we are very sensitive to the wind. It represents 2 different issues. One, wind shear would also cause us to buffet a bit. The airplane would bounce around. It's not uncomfortable for a pilot, but it is distracting and it is fatiguing. The other is, on a very beautiful, clear day, you have thermals that are created that are lift. And so depending upon what type of ground you're flying over, you could really get a big bump out of them.
And you mentioned something about the wind. If the wind slows down, that you can slow down too. Is that right?
Well, hopefully we have a tailwind.
Okay.
And that will keep our speed up. But the wind gust factor is important to us because we're flying along in a stable state. the wind will pick up quickly, and you felt that just standing still in a wind when the wind hits you, you can tell it's increased. That creates additional lift on the wings, so you get better performance. The airplane will kind of jump up. It feels like a bump. Okay. And then when that wind drops off, the gust drops off, we lose that lift, and the airplane sags back down. We have a very narrow envelope in which we fly, 50 to 55. So if you have 20 or 30 knots of wind gusts, you can actually have the wings stall because the wind has just stopped blowing on them, and you get quite a bit of sag out of the airplane. It's recoverable, but it does get your attention.
What about like cloud bases, or does relative humidity have anything to do with anything, or is it visibility?
Yes. We are a VFR, that's Visual Flight Rules. We can only fly our airplane if there is at least 3 miles of visibility. And with regard to the clouds, we need to stay at least 500 feet below the cloud deck or 1,000 feet above the clouds. And we need to give them at least 2,000 feet of margin on either side of us. That's because that's the definition of visual flight rules.
Okay. Is it different for the Wright B versus another type of aircraft?
No, every airplane that flies VFR day has the same rules. Now, the rules do vary depending upon what airspace you're flying in. For example, if we were in the airspace of Cincinnati, for example, the rules for VFR there is 3 miles and clear of clouds. So it just depends on what airspace you're in, what constitutes visual flight rules. But all airplanes that are VFR day fly by those same rules.
So with the Wright B, can you fly at night?
No. We are an experimental airplane,
Okay.
but we are our certificate is very specific. We must fly VFR. We can only fly during the day.
Okay. And when you are flying it during the day, have you ever been caught like in a rain shower?
Oh my!
I mean, we're talking about VFR, and sometimes those showers do pop up, just randomly, and you see those cloud spaces. I mean, I don't know what it would be like to be in this plane with the rain coming down, and you've already mentioned the cold. I'm like, this sounds pretty miserable.
Standing in front of the fire hose is probably the best example I can give you. And yes, we have. We have been on exhibition at an air show or overflying a parade or something in the community. And sure enough, a storm pops up, a rain shower, and it is very uncomfortable, and we try very hard to avoid it. We watch the weather forecast very carefully. We have onboard weather radar that is piped into the airplane. We have no radar on the airplane.
Right.
But there are some companies that combine and broadcast from the satellites a weather picture.
So are you wearing goggles and stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
So like with the rain coming down, you probably can't see.
Well, that's the least of your concern.
Okay.
It hurts. It hurts a lot.
Wow.
To fly in the rain. It's not the penetration, it's the impact of the water on you. Each individual water droplet at 50 or 55 miles an hour feels like a BB is hitting you.
Ouch.
Ouch is right. Now, you'll notice in that clip that you had of me flying.
Yep, here I can pull it up.
I have a helmet on. Now, that's Tom, but he has his helmet on. There's also a face shield. All right, that's me.
That's you.
I have the face shield, and there is a mask underneath of it so that we can communicate. The wind noise, the engine noise, which is right beside us, it would be impossible to talk or listen to the radio unless you had a headset and a microphone that was protected. and the wind, and even with that shield on, I'm wearing glasses underneath of it.
So where do you get your briefing for the weather?
Okay. If it's long range, we listen to you. But your weather is for ground level, and we're up in the air. So the National Weather Service and the FAA have dedicated weather sites on the web that pilots are able to call up, and they get the weather not for just the surface, but for various elevations in the atmosphere, winds aloft, temperature, those sorts of things.
What's your most important criteria or condition that you are looking for?
On the ground, it would be density altitude, because that impacts the performance of the airplane dramatically. We have a 220 horsepower Lycoming engine, which sounds like, well, wow, that would be more than enough. But the drag that this airplane has is tremendous, and there's a lot of power needed to overcome that drag. We won't try to take off if the density altitude is 3,000 feet.
Okay.
We can fly above 3,000 feet. In fact, we've had the airplane up to about 5,000 feet. But it takes so long to climb. In fact, it took almost an hour to get up to 5,000 feet.
And that's when you're almost out of gas at that point, right?
That's when we turn around and land.
Yeah.
Coming down is quick, though.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can just pull the power back, and it has the glide ratio of a Buick.
Oh, my.
So coming down is easy.
Okay, it's going up.
It's going up that takes a lot of time. And when the density altitude, which is a function of temperature, if that's high, a summer day with high humidity, for example, we don't even try, because we will not be able to climb safely away from the ground. And at the airport, there's always houses around.
So if there's a pilot out there that's listening to this, is there a way that they can learn to fly the Wright B, or do you guys give rides anymore? I know that they used to do that. I don't know if they do that anymore.
We used to. But there was a condition that the FAA permitted us to give rides. You joined our museum, you became a member of the organization, and we gave you a free ride. As an experimental airplane, we cannot sell you a seat ride.
Okay.
All right. But that got around that rule. An accident in Delaware some time ago, and the FAA changed those rules. We have not been able to give rides since. We are still able to fly over events, but not give rides.
Okay.
Now, the other part of that question was?
Can we teach, or can other pilots come to learn how to fly?
Yes. However, we have enough pilots with the ones that we have that I'm not looking for a new one. Okay. If you have the qualifications, and there's actually 3 tiers to that. First, you must be certified by the FAA as a commercial pilot, as a minimum. Second, the insurance company has something to say about what your credentials are. And as the chief pilot, I can build those hours. You need 5 hours in the Wright B to be able to then, quote, solo the airplane. And I can take care of that because I'm an instructor pilot and the chief pilot. The third is the more severe, and that's my rules as to what kinds of pilots I want in the seat beside me. The basic criteria is that you must be a commercial pilot, but I like to see a better than that. All right. You need to have a single-engine airplane land rating, but since we have 2 propellers, I like to see a twin rating as well.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Under the Umbrella. If you have any suggestions or know of a topic that you may be interested in, please contact me at undertheumbrella.com. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.